Hey Addicts, I'm Michael.
And I'm Josh.
And we're continuing Danmachi for
the first time.
first time.
We recorded this one and we're coming back to it because our quality was a little bit lower than we wanted, so we're going to try to bring it back.
Yeah, so this is volume 6. If you've followed the anime, which we do have uploaded,
yes,
it's a continuation of that. It's pretty much directly after the anime. And do you want me to talk about the plot? Do you want to talk about the
Sure,
plot?
I'll let you handle that.
Alright, well, let's see if I can remember. It's been 6 years since I've read it, but nah, I'm just kidding. It's been like a month, maybe, I don't know. But so basically the plot it extends from the anime, right? They go back to the town and they're kind of celebrating with the Familia. They're going out for drinks, and then basically over a course of events, people provoke Bell to have a fight. He fights with a level 3 guy, gets wrecked. And then through circumstances that you find out in the book, they have to go through a war games, which is basically his Familia versus like 100 people, including a level 3 guy who's the leader.
Yeah, it's like a family battle,
Yeah.
which is insane on this scope. But there's a few new characters that we get to see, and it expands on some that we've already been introduced to. We get the Soma Familia, which is the Familia that Lily was a part of, or well, she still is, I guess technically, even though she's gallivanting off with Bell and his crew. He's a god that's been dealing with a bunch of the alcohol, and so that's what most people go for his family towards. We get Zanus, which is his number 2, basically. I mean, he's the one calling the shots, but he's in that Familia, and he's the one that's basically running the show. We get Apollo Familia, which I believe this is the first time we ever see him mentioned. I think we got mentions of their Familia in terms of like showing their emblem before, like in the show, but this is the first time we actually see an interaction with them, and we get to see his top tier guy, which for the life of me I can't remember that guy's name.
That's probably not important for them.
Yeah, it's not that important. It's great because in that way when you read it you'll be like,
that guy.
Yeah. As far as any other characters, there isn't a
I mean, the 2 girls, you got Daphne and Cassandra, I think are their names.
Oh, yeah, they're part of Apollo Familia, which they're not his top tier people, but they're probably like his, like if he had an A team, they're part of that. But they have some cool aspects. One can see some things that nobody else can, which makes for a really cool how would you put it, like insight to maybe what's to come, but also serves as a comedic moment because of the way it's presented. And then the other one's kind of a hard ass. So
yeah, you have they're different, and it is kind of interesting because it is a majority level 1 people in the Apollo Familia they have to fight. Yeah. So you get to see Bell kind of. He has to push himself obviously towards the end because he's level 2 and this guy's level 3. But you get to kind of find out what the level difference is between 2 and 1 more in this book.
And I think this is the first instance where you can really see how numbers really affects the battle. Because, like, if you're high enough, like, sure, you could probably take on a lot of numbers. But if you're just kind of, still starting out, kind of like Belle is, like, you can struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's about all we're going to tell you for characters and, like, the plot. We might go into some more specific moments when we're talking about our favorite parts. But, Michael, do you want to start us off with some favorite things you had?
Yeah. So, again, we try to keep these semi-spoiler-free as regards to, the ending of the plot or how it kind of unfolds. But I think the use of Lily in this book, both parts of it. You see her, like, her human side and, like, her insecurities in this book in her interaction with the Soma Familia. And then you also see like her strength as not only a strategist but kind of a magician in a way, and that's something that in the anime she is kind of portrayed as
Sneaky.
Yeah, sneaky, but she's also kind of portrayed as just like a supporter, and that's all she is. But I mean, wealth is pretty important to this story too, and what he does for the Familia as well. But I think the real MVP of the war games would be Lily when you actually look at it.
Yeah, she does offer a lot. For me, I think one of the things that I liked a lot about this volume is the recruitment. We get a lot of people officially on his team or Familia, and I thought seeing that come together was really great. Michael said, there's a lot of aspects of the war games that is really cool. There's a moment with Welf where he's going through a hallway, and I won't say any more than that, but that was a really great scene with him, I thought. And then, obviously, I know you like it, Michael, too, the final battle of the war game and kind of how it ends. That's a really good fight. The only other thing that I really like is there's a ball, like a dancing ball going on in the earlier part of this volume, and it gets a little dragged out, I guess you could say. Maybe if this is the first book you're reading after the anime, but there is some definite interactions that you get that are pretty great, and I won't spoil anything here, but Bill may or may not have gotten some things that he's always wanted, and Hermes is definitely probably the best pickup artist in this whole series.
Yes, besides the goddesses of beauty or whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't really count.
They don't really count that. Yeah. That's no skill.
That isn't any really. Yeah, he's the most skilled, as you will probably see in book 7 too. He's that theme kind of continues with Hermes, but yeah. So as far as any other favorite moments for me, I like the interaction with the Soma Familia. You kind of learn in the show, which there's some exceptions to this, but in the show there's a lot of familiars that are either like really bad and just bad, or they're good, and there's not much like gray area. So like Soma's, he is a bad god in a sense, but he's not like evil. So you get to learn more about him, what exactly his motivations are, and then what his Familia's doing, which has implications further down the line too. So
there's a part of the story, I think, where you finally get to see what all gods, like what the variety of the gods is. Because before, especially if like in the show, like you may have seen like the gods have different characteristics, different personalities that they fill a certain trope, but you definitely start to see how there's some that they're like, oh yeah, they're genuinely nice, like they care about their children. Like other ones you're like, well, I mean, like they're not necessarily bad, but they're not necessarily helpful. And then you see other ones that are just flat out like, wow.
Like, I'm literally here to watch the world burn and have some entertainment.
So that's an interesting aspect that brings, and that's something that plays heavily into the later part of the series. The only other thing, this will be the last thing I mentioned for moments, but there is a part with Lily and Xanis that I really liked, and it may or may not play later. So pay attention.
Pay attention. Speculation.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to get on to our rating part. This is actually exciting because this is the first video that we're going to introduce our unique rating system, which, to give you kind of the rundown, it's going to be 4 tiers, so we'll just label them by a single word or phrase. The first one is going to be our garbage level, which is going to be like a 1 to 2, mediocre, where it's around a 3 or a 4, a worth it, which is pretty good, like you should definitely check it out, which is around a 5 or a 7. And then we got this other one that's just abbreviated because it's FFA, but it stands for effing fantastically amazing. So,
yes,
which is a mouthful, so that's why we're shrinking it. But anyway, Michael, you want to start off with your rating?
Yeah, this one, it's hard because you don't necessarily want to put, we have 4 categories, and I feel like it's hard to put Danmachi in just the worth it category because all these books are really good. So I think I put it in the FFA category, the lower tier of that. Mm-hmm. Really like the story, really like the characters, the action scenes are great, and I think you get to learn more about Bell and understand what frustrates him, what he can and can't do, and you get to realize how far he has come and how far he has to go.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to definitely label it as a higher tier worth it, because this is the first book that I read going in. I didn't read the previous ones. I just watched the show. So for me, just getting used to digesting the story in that aspect was a little bit slow. But the first part of it kind of leans into it. It's still kind of following the pace of the show, where it's kind of showing you a more in-depth, like smaller events. But then it really picks up towards the ending, where I do really like it. So I think it's definitely worth the read to get to the ending and following the story coming forward.
Yeah, and I'm kind of 50-50 on that, so I could relate to it worth it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, guys, this will be all for this video. Be sure to stay tuned for the next one, as we are going to be uploading these pretty consistently. So if you're interested in this series, stay tuned, because we are going to have more coverage on the volumes. But anyway, we do have links to all of our other accounts, so if you want to check out our other content, be sure to look down in the description box, and we'll just see you guys next time. Later, Alex.
Peace.